the accommodation is replaced. So I'm not prepared to say more than that at this stage. I think this is not the appropriate venue, Your Worship.
Well, I don't know about appropriateness. That's a very long response, but not an answer at all.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
He continues to be rude to
Please.
Can't be rude to staff.
I think that was a fair and reasonable response, and also quite sensitive.
Some land and buildings.
Order, please. So, Councillor George.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Or Alan or Kit, just in relation to what subsidies that are available to community housing providers that aren't available to council because of the government requirements. It's both income-related rent subsidies and there's other subsidies as well. Is that correct?
through the chair, currently through central government for people of low income, sorry, my voice travels reasonably well. For people of low income, there's currently the accommodation supplement that goes directly to people to support them with their rent.
Yeah.
Some of our tenants currently receive that. That is directly to them to help them manage their outgoings. For a community housing provider, they have access to the income-related rental subsidy that goes to the housing provider and tops up the rental that is paid by an individual, tops that up to lowest quartile market rent. And that will be what, by setting up this partnership, we would have access to where there was a need.
Are there any other subsidies the government have got, one-off subsidies?
The social housing reform program is still being managed, and it does change regularly as to what's available. Predominantly at the moment it is through income-related rent, where there are the possibility of building new and additional homes. They are looking to go into a contract for that, which would provide income security, but it's still based on income-related rent.
Sorry, if I could just add to that. They have engaged in capital grant allocations, but again, I think as Kat said, that's still swirling around, but it is not impossible that government would make some form of grant available to new housing. So although it's signalled, there's no number to that.
That's dealing direct with a community housing provider, not the council.
Which this joint venture would be.
Councillor George and Councillor John Watson.
No, in light
all
of
right?
the previous...
On your mate. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Cathy.
I'll probably withdraw C
Okay.
based on the legal opinion that's been proffered. But just notice that in October, when we start to discuss the annual plan, it will be right up there. So just on increasing the quantity, we've already made that decision. The decision of this council is that we'd like to see an increase. And that's been endorsed by all the agencies concerned with older people, Age Concern, Grey Power, ADCOS, and our own seniors panel. So, you know, it's no departure from what we want. Just on the partnership, before I get onto the amendments, you know, I've travelled from opposition to a PPP to supporting this current proposal. And that's because of a number of things that are contained in it. And one that hasn't been mentioned today is the Tamaki principle. And is it too late for questions?
No, you can have a question while you speak.
Okay. Kat, could you just explain about tenants who may be removed from their home, there's a development, and they have first dibs at going back?
Certainly, through the chair, where council currently is doing redevelopment or refurbishments of villages, we do work on a principle where we wish to disrupt the tenants as much as possible. So we're as little.
That better not be a Freudian slip.
I'm a good person, as little as possible. As little as possible. So what we do work on is that we try to keep people within the same village. So where we do redevelopment, we will hold vacancies. And once we get to a critical mass of vacancies, we will renew those and then move people next door, literally, because we want to keep them on the same site. Where we may look at doing some more wholesale redevelopment in the future, we do look to move people into the same community, so we will move to other villages within the same network and community, and then we do give people the ability to move back if that's what they want. In our experience, people have been very comfortable moving once, that we do move them to refurbished units, and that will be managed in the joint venture in a very similar way.
And the other thing that hasn't been covered, with your indulgence, Mr Mayor, is how this council keeps oversight of the project. How is it reported back to us so that we can check on you?
Quarterly through committees.
Certainly, through the chair. These will be discussed in detail at the August meeting, a lot of the mechanisms, but council, it is proposed that council is still a 49% shareholder of this entity and will have board members. So there will be a mechanism through our governance and monitoring, that there will be a mechanism for reporting back on all of the outcomes that this joint venture is meant to meet.
Thank you. And just briefly on the amendments, because I'm running out of time, I've withdrawn the first one. The second one, as Michael said, I think everybody now knows about Liston Village. It would be completely inappropriate for this council to demolish a pensioner village. There is a way forward with regard to the Pa Homestead, the park and the village. The Pookie Tapapa local board have been working really hard to find solutions. There are solutions, so it's not about one or the other. It's about both doing it best. So I seek your support for that.
All right, councillors, just in terms of the overarching report, and some of the comments made by Councillor Cathy, the area that I have always completely supported the ability for us to leverage our ownership in our housing for the elderly units and actually build a lot more stuff on there. This is on the basis that we would find a partner who could do that and leverage them into it, and that's been a bit of a struggle, because we haven't really quite got right, in my view, the issue of how we transfer land and or joint ownership to enable that to happen. But I hope it's work that the next council is able to complete to greater satisfaction, and that Panuku really gets the sense of the fact there is social capital here, not just commercial. Now, mostly we talk about commercial capital in terms of our asset portfolio. But there's a wider issue here, and there's no doubt that housing or homes, rental or owned homes for elderly continues to be a challenging and increasingly challenging issue for Auckland as we grow. So I completely get the legal advice. You know, if we did anything different, we'd be cutting off our nose to spite our face. I like the idea of the partnership. I think it's going to be a good partner. I think they'll do well. And they have got a very high focus on social policy directions, those guys, so, and have had for 175 years. It's not bad. Lastly, I do support the proposal of the inclusion of F, I thought it was E, anyhow, to look into the situation relating to Liston Village. It doesn't presume an outcome to that. I know, Councillor Chris, that it is an interesting issue in the local community, but it may well be that more information, you know, over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months could provide us with a way forward that would be acceptable. But finally, Alan, I want to acknowledge your comments about the importance for us to be sensitive to those who are tenants in there at the moment. And I think the way that we deal with that is to be discreet in our comments, because they're very easy and quick to be spooked. Okay, I think we're pretty...
I'm happy to put that Councillor Casey's motion into the main body.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't want to lose the fact that it had been moved by her and Councillor John. That's why I left it separate. Is that all right? We'll just move it as one.
Put it in.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll put it in
we'll
there
just
now.
move it as one,
Yeah.
if that's all right.
Don't want us-
Okay, I'll move that. All of those together. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Well done. Kat, thank you. Alan, team.
I vote against.